When we're bored, people always seem to go towards things that entertain them, obviously. And for a lot of us, that is the Japanese medium of anime. However, within anime, there are subgenres that we like more or less than others, which is normal. It's all subjective after all. But in anime, there is a genre that is present only in anime and is actually unique to this medium, and it is called slice of life. Nowhere else will you find somebody watching the average everyday lives of other people. Sure, we have reality TV where we follow stars like the Kardashians and such, but those are real people. Never will you follow the life story of somebody who's fake. Very often you're going to get bored with the show if there's no drama or anything crazy going on. But that's not the case for Slice of Life. In fact, Slice of Life is very successful, and a lot of shows are in people's top 10s or is actually somebody's favorite show. For example, My Teen Rom-Com Snafu, Violet Evergarden, Love Live, Clannad, Mob Psycho, Hyoka, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, K-On!, Kobayashi-san Maid Dragon, etc, etc, etc. There's a countless others as well that people enjoy. For example, a lot of romance anime are a slice of life, but not always, because it is a unique genre in the fact that it's not just following people doing random things, but there is no goal in mind. It's just people doing stuff and you're just watching them do things. So in this video, I'm going to explore why we enjoy slice of life, and there are fundamental psychological reasons why we do enjoy such laid back and ordinary shows. Some would even call these shows mundane. In order for me to break down why exactly we like slice of life anime, I need to break the genre even further down into 3 subcategories.
よく人が言う。今が辛くても生きていればいいことはある。簡単に言うな。生きることが一番辛いのに。
As humans, we have a fundamental ability to empathize with other humans, or even other animals, or even fictitious characters. People with anti-personality disorder, or psychopaths and sociopaths, are still able to put themselves in other shoes, but they just don't care about them. People who are on the spectrum of autism, however, are unable to do this. So this building block of a properly functioning human is the basis for our enjoyment of such shows. To be able to relate to the characters that are being shown on screen, even if they're not showing crazy emotion, is theory of mind. And fundamentally, human beings love to relate themselves to other people because it justifies them. So you're justifying yourself by being able to relate to one of these characters in these emotional states. A lot of people will relate with the main character of My Teen Rom-Com Snafu because he's a cynical teenager and an edgelord, and he does things that he's not necessarily proud of, but those are the only ways he knows how to do them. For example, the main character of Hitori Bachi is somebody who has social anxiety, and a lot of people who watch anime are also suffering from social anxiety. So being able to relate to this character trying to make friends is very satisfying to a lot of people. It's all about being able to substitute yourself into these characters' places, which is why some people will enjoy more emotional slice of life more than the other people who have watched the same show, because it's all about relatability in this particular case. Comedies are a bit different because laughter in and of itself is a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try my best to break it down. What we find funny can be explained in a book by the neuroscientist Scott Weems called The Science of Laughter. In a gross oversimplification, if you don't want to read it, we laugh when we have 2 or more ideas that then evolve into a more complex idea. And this leads our brain to feeling joy because our brain loves to think about things. It loves to have several ideas become one because it's a more complex idea. As for what we laugh at, that depends entirely on us. This is where the nuance comes in, because obviously we all don't think the same way, so therefore laughing isn't going to be the same for everyone as well. So this means that if you're a person who enjoys, whose brain loves to think a bit more than others, you'll find more things funny, because it'll be easier for you to link those things into bigger, complex thoughts. So in layman's terms, this literally means people who enjoy comedy are deeper thinkers and philosophers. Even if the act of laughing isn't controlled or conscious, you still are a big-brained individual, as the kids would say these days.
ウインナー。
お父さん、自分で焼いてみた。
お父さんが焼いたウインナー。
The third type of slice of life is the relaxing kind. Now, the enjoyment of relaxing anime doesn't come from some sort of crazy psychological basis like Freudian trios, but simply the idea that our emotional state is very easy to influence, as demonstrated in Shastra and Singer's two-factor theory of emotion, which I'll link down below. Again, I'm going to oversimplify it, but to put it in a shorthand way, if we are aroused emotionally, not sexually, if we are aroused and we cannot identify the emotion that we're feeling, the next emotion that we see displayed will be the emotion that we then associate the feeling we have to. So in other words, if we feel something that we can't identify and we see another emotion being displayed, we will then feel the emotion that's being displayed. We will then label the feeling that was unlabeled with the label that's being shown. So in relaxing shows, for example, they would use music or beautiful art or an interesting or relatable character to ignite an emotion in you that you can't properly label yet, and then show a scene where the characters are relaxing or being mellow to make you subconsciously associate the displayed emotions to your current state of mind. There is a deeper underlying reason why we enjoy slice of life a bit more. You can't tell me that you haven't had the thought that you wanted to go to high school in Japan. Or have you ever gotten really angry at Harem because this dumbass character has like 5 girls chasing after him? This fundamental feeling that you have, this envy, stems from a place that Freud called id, the ego, and the superego. Now, if you don't know about Sigmund Freud, he was a psychologist back in the Victorian times, and he invented psychoanalysis. Basically, he invented the idea of looking at people and finding their underlying reasons why they're like this. And Freud liked to relate everything back to stages in your life when you were growing up. For example, if you were a smoker, then you were stuck in the stage where you were breastfeeding. Of course, not all of Freud's theories are widely accepted. Actually, a lot of them are not positively looked upon in the psychological community. But the id, the ego, and the superego is something that psychologists still use nowadays to kind of explain what people are thinking of, and is solid in basis. So basically what the id, the ego, and the superego are is the id is the part of your mind that desires things. Everything that you want stems from what the id wants. The superego acts as our conscience and weighs the morals of the desires that the id has. So if, for example, the id feels like he wants something now, the superego will decide whether or not wanting that thing is moral, and will try and pressure you into choosing the quote-unquote moral choice. And the ego is the one that chooses between these two desires, whether or not to act morally or whether or not to act upon your impulses. So people who have impulse issues are people who have a weaker ego, for example, or people who have anti-personality disorder have a very weak superego. This is an example of two mental disorders that are explained through the ego and superego, so it's very valuable. But in this case, the id desires the lives seen in the shows, and the id loves to desire things, and as such, if you feed your id by watching these shows for these reasons, then you are in fact watching it because you're envious, and it might not be conscious to you, but that is the reason why you enjoy such shows. Now, you don't need to take this at face value, because of course there are issues with this theory. For example, explaining people who have autism. There's absolutely no way to explain autism through the id, ego, and superego, and as such there's lots of diseases that you can't explain through the id, ego, and superego. As such, it isn't very widely accepted in the psychological community because there are too many holes in the theory. But in this particular case, the id, ego, and superego does make sense. The reason why some people don't enjoy slice of life is because the proportions of our Freudian trio are different in everybody. So if your id is stronger, then you're going to be the person who watches all these flexing YouTubers or these rich people vlogs because you desire their lives. It's simply a way for you to live their lives vicariously through them and satisfy your id. And it's also the same case here in slice of life anime. So in summary, slice of life is much more layered than it seems, and our enjoyment of it that's really interesting beyond just our love for aggression and shonen and our need for justification and romance. And I want you to take these points and not take them too seriously. Of course, these are not the exact reasons why. You may just like slice of life because you just like watching something in the background. Of course, don't think too much about these. that's what's kind of I kind of want to end this video on. I don't want you to think too much about all of this stuff when you're watching Slice of Life. Just watch what you want to watch and enjoy it, and have no shame about what you like. So yeah, that's all I've got for today. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff. I will upload every single week. Follow me on Twitch. I stream 3 times a week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Like if you like the video, and have an awesome day.